During our BPO days, we always used to talk about it. क्या 40 से ज़्यादा एक दिन काम नहीं करना. जिस दिन 40 टच हो गए ना, कोशिश करने हैं तो either we retire before 40 or 40 is the time when we'll pack up our bags and say okay we had enough of it. जो जितना है उतना काफ़ी है and just walk out.
कैटरीना कैफ फ्रॉम जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा वो डिसएग्री की
What?
40 तक काम कर
अच्छा.
यार मुझे तो
कैटरीना कैफ कौन सा मेरी लाइफ में है
नॉट सेइंग फॉर यू बट कोई कहेगा कि डिसएग्री करा दो.
she can disagree at home. Thank you for coming on the show today, Shubhender, and we're glad to have you on board.
Pleasure.
And so Shubhender and my story goes way back in 2014, I feel.
Was that 14?
Yeah, it was 14 when we met initially in the auto.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
मेरा birthday next day था and I was coming back from my home in Greater Noida to my Mausi's place in South X. तो मैं अपनी मतलब वहाँ से वापस जब आया था तो मयूर विहार मेट्रो स्टेशन से मुझे ऑटो लेना था साउथ एक्स तक का. तो उसमें जो ऑटो वाले मैंने ऑटो किया तो उसने बोला सर एक और सवारी बैठा दूँ. मैंने कहा बैठा ले, टाइम है मेरे पास. ओके मतलब मुझे न्यू फ्रेंड्स कॉलोनी होते हुए जाना हुआ है, चल लेंगे कोई नहीं. तो दैट वॉज शुभेंद्र एंड ओवर दैट राइड ऑफ 20 minutes we became sort of friends. Then later I even pitched him my first ever startup idea, and to which he was kind enough to hear me out.
And, I must say that he was full of emotions then. I told him then, with his life story, with his emotions flowing, he was very passionate about whatever he was planning to do. Told him, okay, let 10 years, let 5 years pass by and then you'll be much more calm and composed. And I'm very happy to see you much more calm and composed today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear that. But uske baad I even worked in Mindforce, which is Shubhender's organization that he co-founded with Shivendra. And that's my journey with Shubhender. And we would love to hear how you started Mindforce, because I know that story and I want the world to know that story.
Mindforce came as an accident. I was with an organization, was part of this industry for some time, I guess 5 odd years. I had my ups and downs in this industry. And one fine day, one of my friends came in and he said that, you know so much about this industry. Why don't you start something? And he literally pestered me. And one fine day, I just shut my laptop, took leave from my boss, went to... Then Mindforce was in existence, but it was an executive search firm. It was more of a... they used to hire CEOs and CFOs for big organization. And they were operating from a small place in Dwarka, an apartment in Dwarka. And I went to Mindforce office. I met SP. I told SP, had enough of everything. You know how to build a website. We are starting a company from tomorrow. I mean, company was already there, so we are starting another wing of Mindforce from tomorrow, which will be involved in market research, primary research to be specific. And then I used to take leaves from office, come to Dwarka, or post office come to Dwarka. I had a small phone. I used to perspire a lot from my palms then, so I used to hate touch phones. So I had a button phone, the normal QWERTY phone, and I took an international call card from Vodafone, started plugging in it, and started making cold calls for sales while SP was building the website. And that's how we came into existence.
And your major client base at that point in time was abroad.
Yes, I never targeted India as a geography for my potential clientele, because I've always been working for international clientele, either in Europe or mostly in North America. So I was much more comfortable dealing with them than organizations in India.
And I think back when you started, and even now, I think in India, businesses don't invest a lot in research. At least not the kinds of businesses that I work with, software companies. They don't do that. But I've seen this abroad. Is that correct? Or
Not necessarily. You know, when I met new people who are joining the organization, I often tell them that, market research will always be there till the time there's one organization on this planet Earth. There'll be another market research organization supporting them. You cannot survive without research. So I'm sure they're doing research with their own mechanisms. They are not reaching out to core consulting companies for suggestions, probably because, for obvious reasons, they're expensive. You cannot go to
Yeah.
Deloitte. If I'm a camera manufacturer or something of that sort, I cannot go to Deloitte and ask for consultancy from them. And there are not many small research organizations available in India. So that's an expensive business to know the market, to know what's going to happen in the future. That's probably could be one of the reasons why smaller organizations in India are not interested in market research. But I believe if something good is offered to them, you would find they being interested.
so can you break this down a little bit? What does it mean by market research? Matlab,
I explain research as, or what I call the food cycle of research, involves three layers. There's an client, there's an end client. An end client could be a country, could be an organization, could be a service provider. Then a market research organization who has attained specialization in any of the domains. For example, a tech research organization is a specialized tech research organization. They will not be doing socio-political research. And then come a primary research organization or a data collection company. I hate to use the word data collection. It's a little demeaning. But so we call ourselves as a primary research organization. So if you have heard the news lately that Finch dropped US rating from AAA to AA+.
okay.
Finch is... I would not call them a research organization. They're a very big company, but one of the domains of the organization is market research. They research countries across the globe and rate them, on the basis of which investors decide whether they want to invest in the economy of that country or not. Similarly, if Apple wants to launch a new product, or they want to understand what's their market standing, or why people between the age group of 18 to 25 in Sri Lanka or in Singapore are not buying their product as much as other countries.
Right.
They will want to understand that.
Yeah.
They'll go to a research organization, or a research organization probably has that data, would go to Apple and say, okay, we've got solution of your problem. And together they'll work on the scoping of what they want to understand. And then they finally reach out to us and ask us to interview people across the globe. Those could be regular people like us, or could be CEOs of billion-dollar plus entities, doctors, anyone on this planet Earth, and gather their opinion. We process the data, put it in a required format, like if they want graphical representation of data or process data, and then share it with them for them to do the analysis. And then research organization, on the basis of that, suggest Apples of the world what to do or what not to do.
This is very interesting. We come to the story, like the other part of your story, but so I know a little bit about research. Ki there's quantitative, there's qualitative, right? How much, like the companies that you work with, how is it spread out? Like how much do you do qualitative? How much do you do quantitative? And do you find things like when you receive quantitative data, you make some assumption, but when you do qualitative, it's totally opposite?
Yeah, it happens a lot. As far as my organization goes, my primary work is around the quantitative space. We do less of qualitative. We intend to do more. But our clientele is as such that they want more of quantitative research than qualitative. But yeah, anomalies, research is, as I describe, as astrology. So we are the parrot of that astrologer. We collect data, present it to the astrologer. Astrologer predicts future that can be right or wrong. I mean, we have gathered that data on the basis of opinion, which has been shared by industry leaders. Opinion is subjective.
That is true.
So it need not have to be absolutely correct. You must have observed it there was a huge hue and cry in UK when I guess election before this election, where YouGov, their biggest pollster, they did research, they did polling, and declared, I think, I don't remember right now on top of my head, the two parties, conservatives and the other one. So they declared the other one as winning, and eventually the other party won. Happens in India a lot.
Right.
So again, it's opinion. So you cannot catch hold of anyone by the throat that, okay, you suggested this, why the other way it has happened. But more often than not, you will find opinions are in sync with what the reality is.
Okay. मैं यही पूछने वाला था, how many times are you correct?
More often than not.
Right.
Yeah, but there are times, we also just collect data. So the beauty of our business is we are not expected to be expert in any domain. So we collect data in technology space. We collect data on you will not imagine, we collect data with bartenders, how they influence regular customers on which brand they want to drink, and it's a huge business.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Sam, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, please go ahead.
There's this thing called stripper index in US. So
क्या होता है?
I'll tell you about it. So it's what I heard. मतलब I'm not claiming to be an expert on the subject, but strippers जो होती हैं strip clubs में, they were able to like predict that when the recession was starting and when it was ending, because the people who spend in strip clubs were basically Wall Street people. So when they stop spending in strip clubs, so that means the recession has come, and when they start spending back again, that means the recession has gone.
Now, we haven't done any research with strippers, so
It's an interesting thing that
yeah, it
people
is
don't know
interesting.
about bartender thing.
Yeah, it is interesting. So I'm saying, I'm sure, I hope, and I'm sure, I mean, this is a very good data point. I'm sure there's someone on this planet Earth who's doing research with strippers about how Wall Street executives are performing. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing
It's in
research with them.
the movie Big Short also.
Yeah.
So he goes to a strip club and talks about it, and that's where he realizes the guy that Steve Carell plays, that he talks about it, and he realizes, okay, so then these people know more than we do, and that's when he starts taking his bets accordingly.
Yeah. So research is, the whole wild world is open. The beauty of our business is we need not have to be an expert. We can do research. We can collect data. I would not say that we do research. We can collect data, process it in any of the domains available or been asked to.
So if I simplify your business, when someone comes in and says कि मुझे, this is my problem, this is my hypothesis that I want to test, they must have an hypothesis, right?
Sometimes
Okay.
no.
Okay, so you probably help them create a hypothesis that this is what we'll test. Then you figure out कि ये user set होगा हमारा, यहाँ पे हम these are the people that we are going to do it with, and उनका data collect करके you try to make sense of that data.
Absolutely.
So that the other person can read it.
Yes.
But you're not. Do you also do recommendations?
No, we don't do recommendation. We don't do analysis. The day we start doing analysis, then we are competing with our clients.
Okay.
So we don't want to do
competing
that.
How?
We are becoming an analyst. We are stepping in their shoes. That's what they do.
Okay.
So
shouldn't it help them कि अगर कोई और करके दे दे, someone makes a recommendation कि आप ये कर लो, सही हो जाएगा.
As I earlier mentioned, that the other word that I used to describe this industry is astrology.
Okay.
The game of astrology is not how good I can predict future. The game of astrology is how big my name is as an astrologer. That's how you trust me. Okay. Probably your prediction needs to come true for you to have that name. But again, you'll go to Bejan Daruwala instead of a roadside astrologer.
Right.
Similarly, a big analyst firm is the one who has created a name for themselves in that domain.
Okay.
Once, if I do it, I go in the market and say, hey, the world is changing with AI tomorrow. No one will believe that. Why would they believe that? I'm just another guy from the road.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if there's a big tech research organization, they come in the market and say, hey, this is what's going to happen with AI or ChatGPT. Everyone would listen to that.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why we don't want to get into that domain. We do provide a recommendation as and when asked.
Right.
but we don't want to get
I think
into
it
our
also
client
puts
shoes.
you in a liable position.
Yes, yeah. So if I have started doing it, why would the client come to me and ask me to collect data when they know that I can replace them?
Right.
Well, having worked on ground in his company directly, so I could tell you that it's basically that sometimes the client is just like, what's happening in the world, and now we have multiple data points to capture. So, for example, if we call an IT guy from a particular segment of the market and we ask them, what software are you using? So the client is probably trying to understand, okay, what is the trend of the market right now? Are they using big SaaS companies or are they using small indie companies that like Oracle use kar rahe hain ya Airtable use kar rahe hain?
Right.
To understand that market, I think that's where we come in as primary research people.
True. I thought I described it well.
I'm just saying,
You've been part of this organization, so you can go ahead and describe the organization.
I was just adding your point.
I used to work for a company for a very brief period. I worked with him, but what ChatGPT is doing today, so you must have heard recently an update came in where you can give it whatever data that you want, and wo data pe it can tell you things, right? So there's an input in ChatGPT apart from just the text that you write, right? So this company was it's called Alpha AI. They've changed it to some other name. I don't remember right now, but they were doing it back then. वो data पे you could ask questions. He had an NLP, which is natural language processing, and you could just ask anything on your data. कि अगर so I think they did a POC with Swiggy. तो इतना सारा Swiggy का data और फिर कोई पूछ ले कि बिरयानी 12 बजे क्यों खा रहे हैं और 2 बजे क्यों नहीं खा रहे लोग ऐसा इस एरिया में, तो it could answer something like that. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, we are afraid. We are afraid that if this, I think I should not be calling it afraid. We're still exploring if this could impact our industry.
Right.
Because data is widely available. Or rather, this could impact, who would it impact first? The end client, a research organization, or a primary research organization?
Right.
Because for ChatGPT, to get data, someone has to get the data first.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So I think we are
Safe
slightly
that way.
safer than others.
We used to use a no-code tool also. There's a no-code tool. You don't. So for data analytics and all of this, you need some level of technical expertise, right? But somebody created a tool so that non-technical people can feed in their data and ask simple questions. This is churn and fraud detection. So there's this tool, obviously AI, उसको data दे दो बहुत सारा जो भी तुम्हारे पास है, and then it can, so you train that model. थोड़ा सा it takes some training and it is not at all technical. It is basically it's a form and there's a UI that you play with, and उसके बाद it can tell you कि आपका कौन सा user churn होने वाला है, या what users should you not focus on, what users you should focus on, probably give them some rewards or something. And all of that happening without any need for data analysts, right?
Yeah. So I see it happening, but I believe it's in distance right now. It's not coming our way right now, because I always believe that if there's a problem which is coming my way, how many channels is crossing before it reaches me? So this problem of AI is not my problem right now. It's first a lot of other people's problem.
Right.
So let them worry about it. I'm living an easy life. Once it'll come to me, I'll figure out what.
Delhi abhi dur hai.
But are you thinking of like getting to know it better so that probably you can get ahead of?
Yes. We are planning to go in that direction in due course of time. Probably very soon. We have started thinking in that direction. But yeah, we are just there yet. We are thinking about it.
We'll talk soon then. Ki what do you find?
Acceptability by, if I incorporate AI in my business, I need to figure out what's the acceptability of it by my clients.
It has to make business sense.
Absolutely. Till the time I'm running my business, the way I'm running, I'm achieving my revenue goals, I don't want to experiment with it. Let the analyst organization first figure out what they want to do with AI. there could be a possibility that they are able to present something to the end client which is over and above artificial intelligence, and the work continues the way it is. But if something changes there, then we'll figure out what we need to do.
One more thing I was wondering कि the companies that you work with and the data you collect, it's मतलब वो millions of लोगों का data है, वो company billions की bets लेने वाली है उस data के basis पे whatever insights they take out, ठीक है. अब do you think that bets this big people don't want to rely on technology जैसे खाली ChatGPT या ऐसा कुछ?
That could be. So that
They need
was
a
one of my
human-
thought, that when you go to such levels where organizations have become $1 billion big, humans have made that organization $1 billion big.
That's true.
There are tools available on web who can predict future. Astrology, probably ChatGPT can predict astrology, but the people who believes in astrology would still continue to go to astrologers,
Right.
because you need a human touch in communicating that message. I could be thoroughly wrong, but that's my belief that
That too until we create very real robots.
Yeah, maybe.
Osama GPT आके.
but I'll be dead by then, so I don't care.
But what he's saying is very true, because ChatGPT, doesn't matter how advanced it may get, it doesn't pay the bills yet.
You have to understand one more thing. Who's running the world right now? Humans or technology?
Money.
Humans who have money and they're building technology. So first humans.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we think that they are foolish enough to do something which will jeopardize their position or their livelihood? Or where do they stand? Some ChatGPT or organizations who are working in AI probably would create one tool. Let me give you an example. Gun problem in US is very big.
Yeah.
We've got similar problems here. Not similar as in we've got our different problems here. Gun problem can be resolved in 1 minute.
How's that?
The governing body, MRA, or I don't know what you call them, I think it's MRA, they have to take a decision.
Yeah.
Government have, in consultation with them, have to take a decision. They have so much control over US power, US government, that they don't let any gun reform come in the country.
Okay. So by decision you mean...
Who is controlling that governing body? MRA. A human being.
Right.
A group of humans.
Right.
You bring AI tomorrow and replace it with that group, AI, I'm definite, would suggest that, okay, change the laws. Then how would the US government get the money to run the elections?
Right. So
it's a complex business.
हो क्या रहा है? School में we used to discuss कि Illuminati is a thing and conspiracy theories. Now AI take over नहीं करेगा. I'm relieved because there is Illuminati.
I love conspiracies. I love conspiracies. Look, I'll be very honest with you guys. If you keeping all the gyan aside, if you're asking me questions about AI personally, I don't care. I will not be living long enough to see AI creating a trouble. I'm very sure of the fact that Terminator 2 will happen. Skynet will happen. Earth will go down either because of technology or because of some other reason.
Or because of natural selection.
Oh, yeah. Natural selection. Not my problem. Not my problem. I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed of saying it's not my problem.
And that's very fair. But the interesting part of this industry is what I felt was, okay, maybe not many people see it that way, but I personally felt that it keeps you ahead of time. If you're working as a primary research analyst in a company like Mindforce, so we were doing research on, like, someone with some sort of technical background would understand that on a much bigger level. So I understood SaaS before it was a thing. Because we were researching about big data company and analytics and tools and कौन से tools use कर रहे हैं ये वो फलाना ढिमकाना, and then we were talking about things, cognitive research, and we were talking about AI before it was cool. And this was back in 2016.
I landed up in this industry after BPOs. Got humongous respects for BPOs.
100%.
But having said that, when I joined this industry, and I've got huge respect to the CEO of the first organization I was part of in this industry. I guess a lot of us are here because of him.
Can you
Uh,
name him and the company?
It's fine if you don't want.
If you don't want.
No, I think I've got humongous respect. So it's Mr. Tayal. He has given livelihood and made a lot of people's career, knowingly or unknowingly.
What company was this?
Exevo.
Exevo.
Yeah. So what he taught was, after working with him, I think just after 6 months of me being part of the organization, I used to feel so confident that bring an IIM guy, bring an IITian, I can have a discussion with that guy on any topic for as many hours as possible, and I can ensure that I beat that guy. Because this business teaches you so much about how to run an organization, how to run a business. Even if you're just a manager here, you would know how a business is actually run. And topics, as Osama correctly mentioned, that every second day you have a new topic to work on. So you get to know about so many things that the world even don't have any clue, or a regular person would not even have a clue of what that subject is all about.
So you were saying you came from BPOs. What can you tell that story also?
Oh, lovely story, man. So let me go a little behind.
I'll just add one more thing to it so that Shubhender can talk about it. Shubhender and I share a similar fate because we both. I didn't clear my 12th, and he didn't go to college. He barely cleared it. I think that's why he had a soft spot for me early on.
I love everyone who's not passionate about education.
RD Sharma.
So I passed my 12th standard.
Barely passed it.
Barely passed my 12th standard, and I belong to I think I can safely say that lower middle class family.
वो तो पूरा इंडिया नहीं है.
6 people in one room. Let me just let me say it that way then. 6 people in one room.
Show of hands.
So I had to pick up job early because of the financial atmosphere at home. So I started working at Domino's of the Worlds and movie halls of the worlds, and then music stores was a very big thing. There were stores like Planetum and Music World where you can go and buy CDs and cassettes and can listen to music there.
Yes.
And I'm an avid music listener, and so I went for an interview for an organization. I was happy coming out of the interview that my interview lasted for 45 minutes, and they were discussing music with me. I got the job, and I was part of and they had a store in Basant Vihar where you have PVR Priya now. It had Priya then, I guess. PVR was taken over or not, I'm not too sure. So there was a friend of mine who said that, okay, you speak okay, why don't you try in BPOs? I said, I don't know. I went for an interview. I did not get through many organizations, and then finally I got through an organization, and I finally landed up in a BPO by the name of Hero ITES. Yes, it was a Hero Group BPO.
मैं तो इनकी कंपनी में मतलब
नहीं it was I'm talking about 2003
बहुत बड़े शुभेंद्र मुझसे
नहीं मतलब I'm talking about 2003.
Okay.
So had fun time, super fun. People who make fun of BPOs because of people working late, or women working late at night, or cabs coming. I have seen women with critically ill father, ill mother, a sister, single earning member of the family doing so great. And it was a tough job there.
Yes.
I can challenge anyone sitting outside making fun of BPOs to come and be part of a BPO for one day. They'll get to know what the business is all about. I'll quote you one example. There was an organization, there was a process I was part of in BPOs where there was, I cannot name the bank, but there was, it was then the second biggest bank of US. They launched a process in our organization where 10 people were selected and were put into the process. Process was that anyone who would dial wrong number of that bank in US their call will be landed up to us.
Okay.
We will have a list of 40 credit cards and we have to sell one credit card out of those 40 on that wrong number.
Okay.
So imagine someone is calling to check why my pizza is late and you're saying, I'm sorry, you have reached wrong number. However, this is a credit card we would like you to buy. The call used to last for hours. We took conversion of that process to 40%.
Okay.
10 people. So out of all the calls that were coming our way, 40% were converted into sales. I challenge anyone who makes fun of BPOs to do that.
And out of those people जो पिज्जा ऑर्डर करने गए थे
हाँ अरे और दो उनको फन कॉल्स यार हमने
बट पिज्जा मिल रहा था उनको
होम लोन ट्रांसफर करवाए हुए हमने but those are fun days. I learned a lot from those days. I've seen hard work like, oh, we don't know what kind of hard work goes through a BPO. From there I landed up in research industry.
आपने HCL में भी काम किया था?
नहीं यार, HCL में नहीं किया था मैंने. I was with BPOs. I was for a short stint. I was with Wipro BPO. For a very short stint, I was with Global Vantage. उसका भी मेरा कोई reason था. I had to spend those short stints to get back to Hero ITs.
Right. And you worked in Forrester also, right?
Yes.
That's where you worked like endlessly for a promotion. You didn't take smoke breaks and everything.
No, that was BPO's time.
Okay, that was BPO.
So I joined BPOs and okay, a lot of learning for people who are listening. Never mess up with your documents when you're applying for a job or when you're. So I messed up with my experience in my documents when I joined that BPO. 6 months later, opportunity for an IGP come. IGP is internal job posting. So for promotion comes, and I think a year later, an opportunity for promotion comes, and I appeared. Everyone in the organization, and I'm saying the organization probably then was 5,000 odd people. Everyone in the organization knew that I'll get through.
Okay.
There was negligible competition for me. Unfortunately, before the final round, fortunately before the final round, they asked for my documents. That okay, the experience letter of X organization is missing. Please get those. And where would I get that? Because there's no such organization. And then I went on leave. I could not. So I came back after all the interview rounds were done, and one guy was selected. But then they had those papers with them, so I had to leave Hero ITS, spend 6 months here and there, come back, join them, and start from scratch again. There were times that I joined in 15 days of a month. So you're supposed to clock some hours in a month, and you have to give X performance to be able to be eligible for promotion in next 6 months. I had to do all that in 15 days. So I used to call back to back 12 hours or 10 hours, 9 hours minimum, back to back, without taking a smoke break, without taking a break for water. And that we continued. I think I continued doing it for 15, 20 odd days.
So did you get the promotion?
No. Post that, I kept on appearing for IJPs. I never got through. I never got selected. Nothing against the organization. And probably something was lacking in me. So I continued that for 4-5 years. All my friends, peers, girlfriends, all got promoted.
Some manager was stopping you, no?
I'm sorry?
Some manager was coming in your way, right?
No. My manager was a very good chap, a very good friend of mine still now. 4-5 years I continued with that organization. I saw no path. I left the organization thinking I'll find something outside, and then decided.
Have you seen that video where AI like talks to a person and the person cannot tell if the person, like the other person over the phone is not a human? So this is in this industry also, it is going to be disrupted by AI. क्योंकि जो लैंग्वेज द वे वी स्पीक इट कैन बी मिमिक्ड, लाइक मिमिक भी आ गया है कि आपके जैसा बोलने वाला भी बंदा
कन्विंसिंग आ गया है,
बहुत कन्विंसिंग.
नहीं
अच्छा, कन्विंसिंग एज इन द
आई कैन कन्विंस यू टू डू समथिंग,
राइट? आई डोंट नो, but I think it would be able to do that.
That's not technology, that's an art. me convincing you to take your credit card out, buy a ring for a girlfriend, which you'll get after 6 months.
Okay.
that's an art.
Right.
That's not technology.
So it would not be happening right now. Right now it would be facts कि आपका ये पिज्जा इतनी देर लेट इसलिए है, मतलब smaller problems.
Right.
But I think it will
जैसे
get there.
IVR होता है.
हाँ, जैसे IVR होता है, but a more convincing.
Things will change, यार. हाँ, lot of things will change. I'm sure. lot of things will change. But BPO industry, the government destroyed BPO industry long time ago. So there's nothing left in that industry right now.
How did they do that?
They did not nurture that industry at all. When I remember when we started in 2098, and the people who were part of BPOs then are fabulous leaders. I've met few of them. They have created 10,000 people organization and profitable organizations.
Right.
People who were the founders of Global Vantage. It was a BPO then. They all came from GE. There was a guy called Mr. Punchy. I just heard him once, and inspiring guy. What an inspiring guy. Government did not do anything for that industry. Nurturing talent was the only responsibility of government.
Right.
Give them space to work. Give them or have courses available so that talent comes up from outside and join the organizations. I remember GE and Amex used to have 20 rounds of tests before you can become an associate in the organization.
20 rounds.
20 rounds. Psychometric tests. I don't even know then what psychometric test was. They used to have those kind of rounds. I myself went through 8 rounds of interview to get to 8,000 rupees associate job. But it was important. There you used to find talent all around you. They got no help and they crumbled under the pressure of making more money, and all the work starting going out to Manila in Philippines, and nothing is left.
And even when India was branded, although people don't like it, but the world's back office. And I think it was
nice
because
thing.
of BPOs only.
Keshav, had there been no BPOs at that time, there would have been a civil war in India.
Okay.
There was no job for no one.
Oh.
People like me who could not afford to go to a private college, did not score well to get into IITs or IIMs or other B schools. We had no future at all. Thankfully, we could speak a little English, okay English, and then there were BPOs.
Right.
They saved us. They made us who we are right now. Else, would have been dire straits.
I don't think we see BPO. Even I don't look down upon it, but I haven't thought so deeply about it, like what kind of a role it played in the countries.
But taxation, imagine so many people getting such, people you say that, okay, they were paid so much money. I've seen people slogging themselves day in and day out to make bonuses, and they were paying taxes on those.
Right.
Imagine how much tax government of India collected. Do you think that Gurgaon would have been Gurgaon without BPOs?
Exactly. And this is what I always advise at least young people, and they don't take it seriously. I really feel very educated people should always go and work in an organization like a market research organization, or especially people who want to start up someday, because that helped me a lot. Those insights helped me a lot. You not only just understand how things work, you also understand how organization works.
Right.
And I feel BPO industry and a call center industry and a market research industry is one of the very few industries that invest in their resources.
Absolutely.
Like this has been the only company where there was a formal training period for their employees. यहाँ पे 10-15 दिन ये सीखेंगे काम, प्रोफेशनली सीखेंगे, उनको सेशंस हो रहे हैं, मतलब दे हैव पीपीटीज रेडी, दे हैव लाइक ऑनबोर्डिंग पूरा सॉर्टेड है. किसी मतलब जितनी भी बाकी कंपनियों में जाके काम किया मैंने 10 से ज्यादा.
Then BPOs used to have 3 months training.
Exactly.
Of communication only. Right. I think a month of process training, but 2 months on communication only. There were trainers who used to flew from outside of India just to train people.
So communication training as in accent
and language,
tonality. यार मतलब प्रियांकी जिसकी बात कर रहे थे अभी, मतलब if we ever get to speak with him, he breaks it down so beautifully, and I'm sure he would resonate with that. He tells you how मतलब I didn't know this before, but उन्होंने बताया था हमारे सेशन में कि your words that you speak are only 7 to 10% part of your like conveying your message. It's mostly majority, it's your tonality and body language. Even if you're talking on the phone.
And on the phone, body language तो वैसे ही हट जाता
No,
है.
नहीं, body language उस पे भी चाहिए.
Body language plays an important part in phone.
Exactly.
You know,
On a
that's what-
phone.
हाँ. So if you're on a phone,
Smiling during
Exactly.
your phone call
Okay.
is the first thing that is being taught to anyone who's doing business using phone.
How would that make a difference?
You can feel it
also.
out.
Yeah.
अच्छा,
You can feel it out.
Let me try.
The other person would feel it out. You're angry or you're angry and you pick up a phone, call me up. Won't I be able to figure out that you're angry?
No, angry versus calm is totally like stark different. But
Calm and
smiling versus not smiling.
Yes, smiling plays an important part.
Okay.
Because you convey that smile over the phone to other people that you're happy about what you're doing.
It does work. I've tried and tested it myself, even not just here, but even the phone calls that I've made outside of Mindforce, because I've been in sales for the longest time, right? And this is what I used to tell my associates also, that smile while you're talking on the phone. I used to part this knowledge to them as well. This is wisdom, I would say, not even knowledge.
You know, have you seen that movie, Will Smith's
Pursuit of Happiness?
Pursuit of Happiness?
Yes, multiple times.
Look at the way he calls.
Okay.
He always calls with a smile.
It makes you happy.
I haven't noticed he calls with a smile or not, but I understand this much कि मतलब you have to be positive to create a positive impact.
No, so there's a
Your smile is
psychology.
conveyed over the phone. If you're by smile, I'm not saying laughing.
Yeah.
Your smile is conveyed over the phone that you're a happy person.
So
It must be.
So what happens? There's some psychology behind it also. I read somewhere that if you're not feeling the happiest, try putting a pencil between your teeth, and your brain will think that you're smiling, and it will like trick you into being happy. So this is all muscle memory, that when you're happy, you're smiling. So when those muscles are working for you,
Right.
even
right.
biologically, your
Yeah,
brain
yeah.
thinks that you're smiling, and you start feeling happier. So that you become happy if you smile.
What
over the
else
phone.
something like that कि phone पे और क्या that nobody would think of, जैसे smiling over the
Body
phone.
language.
हाँ, और
You-
क्या
when
body
you
language
walk,
में?
You should not be walking when you. You should not be lazing around on chair when you're calling someone.
Okay.
I should not be doing a call to someone like in this position. I should be either upright. When your conversation has reached to a level, whatever makes you comfortable, other than lazing around, you can stand up and start walking while you're talking. It helps a lot.
Right.
And मतलब ये नोट करना कि मतलब you can note this difference between you and I also, that you have a very मतलब तेरी आवाज़ बहुत monotonous मतलब monotone में चलती है.
So monotonous बोल दिया.
नहीं monotone कह रहा था. That is what I meant. But मतलब tonality तेरी मतलब एक वो plain and simple रहती है कि एक ही tone में चले जा रही है. But if you notice with me, मेरी आवाज़ बहुत ऊपर नीचे होती रहती है कि मैं ट्रेन ही है, so मतलब मेरी आदत बन गई है कि if I have to convey a happy feeling, मेरी आवाज़ हाई हो जाती है अपना, और तू मतलब बहुत एक्साइटेड भी होता है, तेरी आवाज़ तब भी लो रहती है.
मतलब मैं दूरदर्शन हूँ, तू ऐड है.
मैं बेचने के लिए बोल रहा हूँ.
मेरे को घर में उल्टा बोला जाता है. मेरे को generally people who are with me, primarily my wife and all, they always say, "Why are you screaming?" I'm not screaming. This is how I talk.
तो वो आदत बन जाती है एक टाइम के बाद.
So hearing me speak, do you think I would make a decent?
It's a quiet trait, यार.
अच्छा.
That's a fun trait. I suggest everyone should do sales. Try over the phone sales. It's very fun, and when you're doing face-to-face sales, you can bring a lot of things other than the product or the service in play, like your body, like your smile, your face, your clothes, a lot of other things. Phone is just the voice. If you manage to do that, it's so empowering. I'll quote you an example of fun with sales over the phone. So your podcast title, 1 crore, we did pretty early in our business when we started. But then there was a steep down. There was no sales, nothing. And there were only, I think, 2 or 3 people in the organization. So I asked every one of them to start doing sales. pick up the phones and start calling prospects and try and sell the service. And I remember one of my good friends, he was sitting and he was trying to reach out to the right person, and he surpassed the gatekeeper. By gatekeeper, we mean the receptionist. And that person was about to come on the phone, and I could sense that the person is coming on the phone. I snatched the phone from him. I did the sale over the phone, and I think after a day or two, we got a 30K win from them. That was done in moments of time, out of frustration, whatever. But
$30K, na?
हाँ
Just clarifying for the audience. 30,000 के लिए तुम इतने खुश हो गए।
हाँ यार, ये बुरी आदत है, पता है हमारे इंडस्ट्री में नॉमेनक्लेचर ना USD यूज होता है ज्यादातर, तो उसकी आदत पड़ गई।
वही लोग सोचेंगे कि 30,000 रुपए के लिए खुश हो गए।
So, but yeah, I love doing sales over the phone.
But आप
Used to.
आपने 1 करोड़ कब टच किया था?
I think we started off with in a month's time. Starting the
आपने
organization.
2012 में 1 करोड़ रुपए कमा लिए थे
पहले महीने में
पहले महीने में। और आपका कॉस्ट क्या था? क्योंकि आप तो घर से काम कर रहे थे ना किसी के?
हाँ, cost I think 30%.
तो मतलब 70% was up for grabs to the company, of course.
Is it a general margin that you work at?
I cannot disclose my margins.
नहीं, of course
Then
not.
it was.
Of course not, because उस time पे तो there were 3 people working.
We were working from a apartment. We had to subsource that work to someone else to get it done.
They had started off, no, at that point of time. And उसके बाद they invested and they मतलब got an office.
You know,
in
there was a
Noida.
time when we had no business at all, and I clearly remember, and I give kudos to my partner for that. I had serious debts on my head before I started the organization. There was a time when we had no business. We were just running on that first month's payments. He ensured, and that has been in the blood of Mindforce since then. He ensured that everyone in the organization gets paid on time, on the day that we are supposed to. And he stopped taking salaries for, I guess, good 5-6 months. He had his own expenses. It's not that he never needed money. He just survived on his own saving, but ensured everyone in the organization, including me, gets paid monthly. Yeah, those. Yeah. So
This is Shubhender. Right?
This is Shubhender.
What's his background? I hardly got
Shubhender
to
is an
speak with him.
engineer. He has done his engineering from Bharati Vidyapeeth, Pune. I think in electrical.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did he do before? How did you guys meet?
So
Because we heard that you went to him and asked him to build a website, but how did you guys originally meet?
So there's a very good friend of mine who lives nearby from here. His name is Girish Singh. We've been friends since KG.
Okay.
He was in Bharati Vidyapeeth, so I used to go to his college to meet him when I started working in BPOs. Those were good times, you know. Those studious guys were part of Bharati Vidyapeeth. Then getting into Bharati Vidyapeeth was a big thing. So they were all studious kinds there, and I was the one only earning friend for them. So doesn't matter if I was earning 8,000 rupees, but I always used to carry a pack of cigarettes. So I used to be the rich friend of them. So there, even then I did not meet SP. But SP was a very good friend of my friend Girish. Once they came back to Delhi, SP started something of his own. And that's when I met SP couple of times. I think I met him at Girish's wedding also. And we did not know each other well, even when we started the organization. It's just that we were talking and we knew each other. It's the bonding and everything happened after we started the organization.
And it's been more than 10 years now.
Yes.
I hope Keshav and I share the same luck and fate as you guys.
Partnership is difficult. It's very difficult. It's very demanding. You have to keep your egos aside. doesn't matter that you're on same page. Never be on same page. But you have to keep your egos aside. You have to think that doesn't matter if we remain friends or not, and that's what SP and I always tell each other. It doesn't matter if we remain friends or not. It's not important. The organization needs to stay and go forward. So if tomorrow we are not friends, it's absolutely fine. We'll continue to be part of the organization, but not friends anymore. So always keep that in and have faith in each other. That's it.
How big is your team right now?
I think we are plus 100.
And you operate from the office?
We got one office here. I mean, this is the delivery center. And then we've got one office in London, one in US. We got a couple of guys in US, one in Argentina, one in London.
Okay. And here in India, the people who work with you, they operate from the office, like
Yes.
work from office.
Yes.
So during COVID, did that change? The people went to work from home. How did you get them back?
We asked them to come back to office.
सैलरी नहीं आएगी वरना
नहीं we did not. I mean, ये आज तक history में कभी Mindforce के नहीं हुआ.
नहीं, मैं मजाक कर रहा था.
Even during COVID days, we never ever thought of not paying anyone. But everyone needs to understand that the work cannot be done from our work cannot be done. Our work needs supervision. Our work need a lot of collaboration. So
Right.
and they themselves were missing office. They had enough of work from home, so they said, okay, when we started opening office, most of the people welcomed it. I think 98% of them welcomed it.
Right. So when I started the company with my co-founders, so we started before COVID, but then COVID hit. So उस time तो team was very small and we used to work out of co-working spaces. तो जब team छोटी है तो मिलके ही काम करेगी कोई, और उस time तो concept ही नहीं था work from home का, COVID से पहले तक. Then COVID hit, we had to work from home. And उसके बाद जैसे ही lockdown was lifted, हमने जाके office देखा, we took a flat and we started working there. But एक उन 6 महीने में I think बहुत difference आ गया था behavior में लोगों के.
Absolutely.
That everybody wanted to work from home.
Absolutely.
Right?
Totally agree with you.
तो in the last 3-4 years मैं 4 बार ऑफिस खोल के बंद कर चुका हूँ. जो लास्ट अभी खोला था उसमें 2 महीने तक nobody stepped in.
मैं बताऊँ, don't entertain such requests. There was never such thing called work from home before COVID happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. अब हर दूसरा बंदा, sir, I'll not be able to come to office because I need to work from home, or I'll not be able to join your company if you're not providing work from home. Fine, don't join the company.
Yeah.
I mean, something which has just happened 2 years ago, you are making it like that it has been the way of business always. No, absolutely not. You have to come to office.
Right. These are some tough calls because
अरे मैं बताता हूँ, so I get to hear stories about office. So Anupam, he heads our India office. So he was telling me.
Anupam's still here.
He heads our India office. So this is his room.
We're hijacking his room.
So one time we were just sitting and he was telling that this is how people are reacting. So we called people in and said, sorry sir, I will not be able to come to office because my father is saying it's not fine. And day before that he was in Nehru Place buying mobile phone. And I was like, okay, fine. Okay, don't want to come then. Please don't come then. And it's so stupid. I mean, you cannot prioritize work over minute things like work from home. You know, if there's a requirement, obviously, I mean, if it's health is at stake, then obviously the world is doing it. Okay, we'll do it. But you cannot just make it I hate it when I see it on news or everywhere where they're trying to promote work from home. No, it's not. People don't work. They put I know people, they have created luxurious system around them where even a WhatsApp ping will shout it out loud and they sleep all day or they go for shopping or for movies. And come on, what you're trying to do?
Companies try to tackle it with वो हर hour पे they have to check in.
हाँ, सबके loopholes हैं यार, सबको निकाल लेते हैं वो keyboards और
people.
So during COVID, I went to my cousin's place to क्योंकि घर पे बहुत बोर हो गया था कि सिर्फ क्योंकि हुआ क्या, पहले ऑफिस था तो माई लाइफ एंड माई वर्क हैड सम डिस्टिंक्शन कि कंपनी स्टार्ट की है तो लॉन्ग आवर्स काम कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन फिर भी घर से वापस आया तो अब सोना है. लेकिन जब कोविड के टाइम पे वर्क फ्रॉम होम हुआ तो उस टाइम कोई डिस्टिंक्शन ही नहीं है. जब नींद आ रही है तो सोना है, नहीं तो उसी कमरे में टेबल रखी है, यहाँ बेड है और ये टू एंड फ्रो चलता रहता है, बस दैट्स इट. राइट. सो वो बहुत मेरे लिए चैलेंजिंग हो गया. सो आई वेंट टू माई कजन्स प्लेस कि थोड़ा सा चेंज होगा तो सही रहेगा. एंड उसका ऐसे होता था कि हिज कंपनी स्टार्टेड टू ट्रैक वो माउस वाला मूवमेंट जो जनरल कॉर्पोरेट्स में होता है, तो उसकी कंपनी ने स्टार्ट कर दिया. तो उस पर मैंने सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल किया जिसमें वो माउस हिला देता है. हर 10 सेकंड में माउस हिला देता है.
It's very मतलब I like working from office मतलब contrary to what I was saying earlier. मतलब मुझे chill करना पसंद है, आराम करना पसंद है. But for me to choose an office like that where I have fun working is more important to me than working from home. Because people don't realize having a good office is far more beneficial than
Absolutely. You get to meet so many different people. You get to learn so many new things. You'll never be able to do that from
Exactly.
home. And work from home is okay for people who are probably, one man show, one woman show, or you got a 2-3 members team. Okay, fine. For an organization like a big giant like HCL or other organizations of similar nature, it doesn't make sense at all.
अरे पर्सनल रीजंस के लिए भी मतलब सेल्फिश रीजंस के लिए भी if people start thinking about it, I don't think I would have had the same relationship that I have with Shubhender if we were working from home.
Absolutely.
I don't think I would have the same relationship with you.
मैं अगर the company that Osama and I met, मैं वहाँ 3 महीने के लिए था खाली. And मैं
भी Shubhender के साथ 3 महीने के लिए था.
तो बिना बताए चला गया
रात को 3 बजे. बहुत फनी था यार.
तो अगर मैं वर्क फ्रॉम होम करता तो प्रॉबेबली मैं सिर्फ अपनी टीम से बात करता, बिकॉज आई वाज अ डिजाइनर, सो आई वुड वर्क विद द फाउंडर हु टेक्स केयर ऑफ टेक. ओसामा से मैं मिलता ही नहीं in that case, so we would not be sitting here and doing some other things that जो भी हम कर रहे हैं.
Opportunity cost बहुत ज़्यादा है work from home की. Well, you might like anything that comes easy will always be harder to deal with later on. अगर तुम अभी जंक फूड खाते रहोगे तो आगे फिर हेल्थ की प्रॉब्लम आएगी ना. मतलब ईज राइट, मतलब it's fine to have some difficulty in life.
So अभी क्या हुआ, so we went to a design company recently, we're working on a project and they are some कुछ और चीज़ के लिए they are designing, so we went to their office in गुड़गांव. अब it is an office जो उस बंदे ने अपना घर पे ऑफिस बनाया हुआ है, and आलीशान घर, because he's been doing it for 30 years, he has a lot of money. तो वो ऑफिस देख के मज़ा ही आ गया, मतलब कि उसने कैसे कन्वर्ट किया हुआ है. इट्स अ वेरी हिप प्लेस. ठीक है, तो फिर मयंक और मैं फिर से सोच रहे थे यार ऑफिस लेते हैं दोबारा से.
Similarly, I tell you, so there's a friend of mine, I cannot name him right now, but I'll tell you his name afterwards. He lives in an apartment. He's got his own space. He's got a child and family, mom, dad, wife. But he's got his own space where he has put, I think 2-3 two desktops, one large TV, 2-3 laptops, systems, music systems, and all the possible softwares to ensure when there's a ping, I get to know about it and I can react. Otherwise, he's sleeping there, drinking, doing nothing else. And get into that space and you'll be wowed. It's so amazing. But that's his sleeping pad. Work from home.
I have this friend from school who is or was working with TCS, and he did not inform anyone. They were working from home now, so he did not inform anyone. He went on a 60-day trip. For 60 days he was missing.
People were working from Goa and Solon.
He was trying to get fired. He still got his salary on time. Full salary. He was not working, he was not logging in, he was not logging out. मतलब TCS इतनी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है कि
उनको पता नहीं TCS को कहाँ पता लगेगा एक एम्प्लॉय कहाँ गया.
हाँ नहीं, बट जब मैंने करी, मतलब सो आई स्टार्टेड वर्क ड्यूरिंग कॉलेज ओनली, तो उस टाइम पे मेरे लिए बस इतना था, थोड़े पैसे कमा लिए तो अमीर हो गया. कॉलेज में तो यही चाहिए होता है. तो द लाइफस्टाइल दैट आई वांटेड फॉर माई सेल्फ वाज ऑफ अ फ्रीलांसर ओनली. मुझे नौकरी करनी ही नहीं थी कभी भी. एंड वाई वाज दैट, क्योंकि मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे कभी पहले तो बहुत टाइम बाद मैंने इंस्टाग्राम कभी लॉग इन करा, और जब करा तो शुरू में पहली चीज़ें जो मैंने देखी, those were people who work in marketing, who work in design, who work in coding, and they're doing it out of Bali. सो डिजिटल नोमैड
Hmm.
बोलते थे उस टाइम उन लोगों को, और ये बहुत पहले की बात है, लाइक 6-7 years ago. तो मेरे को था कि आप उनको ये बनना है.
ये चमक
तो
रहा है।
हाँ, ये चमक रहा है.
मुझे नहीं पता यार, मुझे इंस्टाग्राम वगैरह कुछ है नहीं, आई एम नॉट देयर, सो आई डोंट
वो लाइफस्टाइल उनका ये होता है कि वो दीज आर फोटोग्राफर्स और ये वो, तो वो काम करते हैं बाली वगैरह में कोवर्किंग स्पेसेस से, तो काम 6-7 घंटा करते हैं, बाकी चिल करते हैं.
I've heard about such stories. I think I met someone also in somewhere in Uttarakhand. I met someone who was there for 6 months, and he took that room for 1,500. Beautiful place, 1,500 with food and everything, and he was just living there.
हाँ, but वही मेरे लिए भी मतलब I don't feel that lifestyle is for me. I like work, मतलब I like to keep myself busy. मतलब I'm not a workaholic, but I like working. I like being busy.
No, I don't like working now.
वो वाला काम है, the काम that I like.
No, I don't like anything. My trouble has become that I don't like anything now.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
So what do you do? What do you keep
Nothing.
yourself busy with?
Nothing.
Okay, so you have
I just
such
lie
great
around.
systems.
I just lie around. I just lie around. Nothing. I do
Let's
nothing.
hope your board doesn't see this podcast.
They know. You know, funny thing is, that's how I always been, and I'm proud of it. I love creating leaders around me, and I've done it. I hope I've done it successfully.
If you're able to say that you just lie around and a business as yours is successful, I think you've done a very good job at that.
Exactly.
Yes, because I've got amazing leaders and people like Anupam and all that. I've got amazing leaders. Sales heads, Dave and Mohit. They've been with me for in my thick and thin. I mean, they've been with me for very long, since our beginning, I guess. And they are the ones who have taken this organization to where we are right now. So, and they are hungry for work. So when there was a time when I used to come to office, they used to tell me that, why have you come to office? You are not needed here. I said, okay, fine, I'll stop coming to office then.
But if I don't know if this is the right question to ask, but what's the current valuation of Mindforce? Because if I remember correctly, when we met, you told me it's somewhere around $2 million back then.
Mindforce valuation has never been $2 million. I cannot disclose the valuation, but it has never been $2 million. It's much, much, much more than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it wasn't like when you had just started. This was in 2014. I'm talking about.
Yeah. In 14 could be that.
Yeah, 14. Not.
Yeah, in 14 could be that. Yeah, I'm sure. Sorry, I take my words back. So in 14 could be that, but right now I'm not allowed to divulge that information right now.
Okay.
But we're doing okay.
But is Mindforce, like, I don't know if this is possible. Please ignore me if I ask the wrong question. But can it be a limited company someday?
It is a private limited company.
It's a private limited, right? I'm asking.
No, we are not going public.
Public, yeah.
We don't have any plans to go public. First, we don't need funds. We are a cash-rich organization. We are happy the way we are.
Okay.
We had thoughts a few years ago of making it go public, but
I want to ask this, coming back to you said that you've been able to create leaders around you, right? We also think about it quite a lot, that how do we call them champions, because cool ho gaya ab. We want to create champions. So we have some champions in the company that मतलब जो लोग लीड कर रहे हैं अपने काम को, but as a leader, doing your work very well and helping a few other people, that's about it that I understand right now. For you, what qualities do you see in a leader? Ki wo, I'm unable to articulate what I want to ask.
I get your question.
Yeah.
Identifying a leader, I believe hunch plays an important part in it.
Gut.
Yes. Secondly, hunger of that person. Thirdly, and I think this is more important, your ability to let go of your work and hand it over for someone to do it. You observe it, supervise it, but you don't do it.
Delegation.
Absolutely. Delegation is very important. Not many people are able to do that.
Yeah.
But I learned from my boss when I was in Hero ITS, Nitin. He was very good at it, and I learned a lot from him. You'll never be able to become a leader yourself till the time you're able to you're able to delegate work and you understand the importance of delegating work. You would not find 100 leaders out of 100 people.
Right.
But you'll find that one person who would be providing all the commitment needed to get the job done. And again, I'll come back to it. It's a hunch also. You get that feel that, okay, yeah, this is the kind of guy that I need.
Right. And now the business that we are in, it's a creative business. The people who work for me, like with me, sorry, wrong choice of words. My team can also do it on their time. Like they can freelance and earn same amount of money, right? And they choose to work with me because like the things that we are able to teach them probably, and the ecosystem that they get while working in the company, right? But do you face some similar challenge like this? Keep people are looking to work कि मैं कहीं और कर लूँगा, खुद से इतने पैसे कमा लूँगा, मैं तुम्हारे साथ काम क्यों करूँ और तुम्हारे यहाँ लीडर क्यों बनूँ मैं?
Oh yeah, a lot. And one of the biggest challenges that I face, and I always been facing with Mindforce and previously, is human being's ego. If you're able to match human being's ego, and there's nothing wrong in having ego, but if you're able to manage someone's ego, you are yourself a great leader. So at the end of the day, it comes down to managing ego only. Why should I work with you? Why can't I just go ahead and work alone?
Yeah.
You need to show them the importance that they deserve.
Right.
You cannot keep things in your hands. You need to show them the importance. You need to, I'm sorry to use this word if it's wrong, but you need to sometimes give them ego massage. Sometimes accept that you're wrong and they're right.
Yeah.
You have to give them importance more than yourself.
Right.
You do that, and trust me, loyalty does not come easily. Loyalty is both ways.
Right.
It's not one way only. You have to be loyal to your people, and your people simultaneously need to be loyal to you. Some might not be. Some might think short term, and some might think long term. But at the end of the day, I personally suggest that don't limit your relationship with a person in your organization to work only.
Okay. You need to get personal.
You need to have a human relationship with them. You need to have a personal relationship with them. Be a guy for their sorrows. Be a guy for their happiness. And it needs to come from inside. If it's artificial, you'll get to know about it.
Right.
If you're able to make a human relationship with anyone, trust me, loyalty, egos, everything can be easily managed.
This is exactly why I hate the IIMs of the world. My problem with them is कि वो framework बना के leadership का artificiality सिखा रहे हैं कि they just like मतलब IIM का पढ़ा हुआ बंदा आके तुम्हारे सामने ऐसे बैठ जाएगा, yes I'm hearing you out, you करते लगेगा, but you're not a good leader वो just because you're pretending to listen to me, you're not hearing me. So that's the difference between actually being a good leader. मतलब अभी मैं तुम लोगों के आने से पहले शुभेंद्र को बताया था कि I had a very brief conversation with Shubhender about something, and my world was falling apart at that point of time, and I was going through a very rough time, and I was sharing that with him even though he was my friend and boss. But he still told me, yeah, sometimes it's best to sit and watch no matter what happens, and that's the kind of thing that, and I still hold that close to my heart, that advice, and I've tried to live by it, and I only remember it because I worked it actually made sense. So I don't think if he would have told me that, he didn't have to tell me that, he didn't have to listen to me and sit with me after hours to just help me out with my situation, and that advice did not help me in that instant,
right?
But it made sense to me in retrospect.
With this organization, something which has bothered me is that while building this organization, I've lost a lot of friends. we were like brothers, and we eventually had to part ways. Um, but lately, I've realized that this organization or what I'm doing with myself professionally has a stipulated timeline.
Hmm.
My personal thought is that when I die, I would I would want a rock show to be arranged, and I want a lot of people enjoying there with alcohol and listening to the songs that I love to, and I want a lot of people there. So whenever I get an opportunity, I try and make friends and I try and get people as close to me as possible. And among those, you'll find people professionally working with you, or people your next door neighbor, or like Osama. We met, we parted ways, but I love to hear from him whenever there's an opportunity. Even if he texts me or drops a note at Facebook when I was on Facebook, oh, it's amazing to hear from him.
Hmm.
And ideally, we just spend probably in totality. If I say we must have not spend more than 5 hours during his entire stint with the organization and previously. But those 5 hours have created an impact.
Yeah, I wonder this, और this is exactly what I've thought. मैं तुझे चढ़ा नहीं रहा झाड़ पे, पर मैंने recent I was thinking about this, that how do I find people like Osama to work with me at my company, because the team I have is very good. In the past, the people I've worked with who have left probably, so everybody wants growth. ये growth शब्द बहुत popular है हमारे उसमें, that I want growth, right? And उस और वी वर इन्वेस्टेड इन आर पीपल इन द कंपनी, सो ग्रोथ के लिए हमें लगता था कि स्किल एक्वायर करना है तो चलो कोर्सेज खरीद लो. हमने 20-25 लाख के कोर्सेज खरीदे अलग अलग डोमेन्स में. डजेंट मैटर इफ इट अप्लाइज टू योर वर्क और नॉट. इफ यू से दैट यू वांट टू लर्न समथिंग, विल गेट इट फॉर यू. दिस वाज आवर वे ऑफ नर्चरिंग पीपल. इट डिड नॉट वर्क. आई ट्राइड टू, जिसको मैं बोलता हूँ तेल भरना, मोटिवेट. It doesn't work. It never works. So how do you inspire people to, because growth will take more time out of their lives into their work.
You cannot. एक ना मेरे ex boss नितिन ने मेरे को सिखाई थी एक बार. When you're doing your job day in and day out, a pat on the back from your boss is more than sufficient.
Okay.
As and when I come to the company, not very regular now, but and this has been my style for quite some time. I'm not too sure if it's of any benefit to anyone, but if it's of any benefit to anyone, I would love to share. I'm sharing it with them. My first thing to come to office is keep my bag and meet everyone in the office.
I attest to that. You used to go hands around shaking, go around the office shaking hands with each and every person.
And I've been doing that since ages now. For me, each and every one of them are important.
Right.
How to breed more leaders.
How to dealers नहीं leaders.
Breed more leaders.
तूने dealers बोला.
गलती से बोला.
Leaders के लिए one thing is very important, that first and foremost, you need to be on top of your game. You need to know your job the best. There should not be any other person better than you.
That's true.
That is the foremost. Second is, consider the other person as just another human being here and try and make relationships. As many relationships as possible. Doesn't matter the person stays with you or not. You should have relationships with you, with people, and it'll help you a lot.
Just to add to that, how I see, like, how for example, my HQ bred more leaders was that they help people when they needed help the most. जैसे नितिन अपने पॉडकास्ट में बता रहे थे कि he got my HQ when he could not find any other job, and he was like 1 साल काम करूँगा निकल जाऊँगा. But he was treated well in that company that he ended up staying for 4 years. Then, and then he became he was one of the core members, and like started his own venture.
I think making leaders earlier was very easy because the expectation of people was I would not call it limited, was just.
Yeah.
When I clearly remember my dreams and objectives in life were clearly spelled out, and those were attainable. I wanted to become a team leader in a year's time. That was attainable. I got the opportunity. my dream ended at becoming an assistant manager because I wanted to reach to the title, make X money, marry my girlfriend then, and that's it. I could not dream of anything over it.
Yeah.
Problem now is that everyone wants to become a CEO. Everyone thinks that quick money is easy and everyone can make billions or millions second day that they start a business. That is killing the thought of staying with an organization for a longer time, and it is a challenge with us also. The only way we are able to curtail it is that we are building relationship with the people who are running the organization, and they in turn are doing the same.
Yeah.
So my core team is a team which has been together for years and years in different organizations, and they have faith in each other, and that's how we're working. Other than that, I am facing this difficulty, and I am very saddened with this fact that people think that they can become a manager or probably manager. I think no one even thinks of becoming a manager. Now everyone wants to become a CEO. They can become a CEO of an organization in 2 years' time. That's the max they want to give to the organization.
I think that shows, he's very right here, because that shows in the pop culture as well. कि जो show था The Office, उसमें if you've seen it,
some of it.
हाँ, so उसमें एक character है Dwight. He spends all of his life trying to become the manager. That was his end goal also. Even though he owned a lot of ventures, but his goal was to become a manager.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong in that.
Exactly.
I find it really bad when people say that, okay, why do you want to limit us to manager only? I'm saying that don't limit yourself at manager, but at least first reach there. Problem. And I solely blame startups for this. No one else. Everyone wants to become a CEO, and they're forgetting about the fact that if everyone will be CEO, who will work?
Yeah.
So this culture is spoiling, and not many people are able to understand it. Easy money is killing a lot of people. I think you should ban whatever YouTube pays. I mean, you do stupid activities, you get money. For Christ's sake, since when money making has become easy? So one should look at it. I mean, it's spoiling the generation.
So for me, because I started out as a freelancer and I understand that open markets ka concept is good for, in theory, I know I've read or heard that it's good for economy. I don't know how it works, how it is good or how, but मुझे generally पता है, ठीक है. But for me, when I'm running the company, it's very bad for me. So I find it hard to strike a balance in my own thought also.
Keshav, ये बहुत अच्छा. That's a very nice question. I have this contrasting view always. When I say that X organization's valuation, like we were discussing valuation, has reached billion dollar or multiple $1 billion. That organization's profits are in negatives right now. They're in super losses. But at the same time, they are giving employment to 1,000 people.
Right.
So I'm always in this contesting thought that is it right or is it wrong? But after 3 years or 4 years, that organization would shut down. What would happen to those people?
Yeah.
Or you can think that probably it's a vicious circle. Startups will coming up, and you'll have those 1,000 people fit in some other organization. But that is not a wise way to run an economy or a country.
Startups have ruined it to this extent that उन्होंने जो base expectation है general वो इतना raise कर दिया है क्योंकि because they have VC money to burn. Now developers are earning as high as 900k and good developers 900k, close to $1 million a year in a company, and वो company 3 साल बाद shut down हो जाएगी क्योंकि सारा पैसा चला गया. It's a loss, small loss for the VC probably. बट उसकी वजह से हुआ क्या कि वो जो एक इकोसिस्टम है पूरे की एक्सपेक्टेशन चेंज हो गई. सबने पैसे लेके बहुत हाई वो दे दिए.
अपना लाइफस्टाइल चेंज हो गया. I'll not be able to go below that.
Yeah.
My expectation would be that okay, I'll not get into anything which is less than $1 million paying.
Yeah.
You would not get everything which will pay you $1 million.
Right.
And that is the problem not with India. That is a problem worldwide. Everyone is, but again, as I say, it's a contesting view. It's right now it's good for the economy because there's a lot of money which is coming in and people's buying power has increased. But how long will you be able to sustain it?
Right.
But I think there's clients maybe or when you're choosing to work with the kind of clients that you want. So if you're going down the price war, it's matlab going. It will only end with the lowest price. So similarly, if you're choosing employees based on salary, just salary, कि इसको ये salary दूंगा ये offer होगा आ जाएगा, then you only like they will always go and work for the higher salary person or the company. So it's the I think right mix of both. कि if you give someone like at least to test them out in the early stages, okay, if this person is of high caliber and they choose to work with the lower salary right now, it's not wanting to exploit them. Of course, the needs are met. उसको इतना तो देना चाहिए. But if they choose to work with you, then they probably are sold on the vision also and the senior team also that these guys could make a like bigger company.
Yeah, vision is always cooked. What do you mean by vision?
मतलब आई हैड अ हाई मतलब जैसे मेरा बहुत पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस उसके साथ था माई एच क्यू के साथ कि दैट्स वेयर आई जॉइंड अ कंपनी एट द अर्ली स्टेज सो दैट गाय वॉज वेरी ट्रांसपेरेंट विद मी द CEO एंड ही वॉज वेरी thoughtful and mindful of my situation and he was always looking out for me. So I was like ठीक है I'll help him what इसकी जो भी विजन होगी मैं हेल्प करूँगा पूरे करने में because he took मुझे स्टेबिलिटी चाहिए थी उस टाइम मुझे सैलरी नहीं चाहिए थी इतनी ज़्यादा.
Sama, you're one person.
हाँ मैं अपने हिसाब से सब्जेक्टिव ओपिनियन था.
I'm talking about in general. So you being one person in 100 doesn't matter.
Yeah.
How great you are as a person, how great your vision is, you want to give your 100% to the organization, it does not matter. Organization will crash down tomorrow because they could not find 50 Osamas. They need 50 Osamas to run and survive. That is the challenge that we are talking about here.
Right.
Vision changes with every 2 years for an organization. If they say that my vision is consistent, they're lying.
That's true.
Your money, your current position in the market, if there's no money coming in the organization, vision will change like this.
Yeah.
That's true.
So if my pockets are full, everything is fine, my vision can stay consistent, or my probably vision can improve and can be a society improving vision. Other than that, vision, story doesn't matter at all. And one more point here. You mentioned something about if that person has caliber. The biggest challenge that we face is I know that person has caliber in his domain. Once he joins my organization, everything is different. How do I know that that person's caliber will pay off or not? So the organization is gambling with that person for 3 months or 6 months or 1 year.
Yeah.
As that person is gambling with the organization. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. Having been on both sides of the table now, so I completely get that. I've not been on the same scale, of course, but on some level.
You would be, but I'm saying,
I completely agree with you.
This thought plays, and it's a thought for which you'll never get an answer.
Yeah, even I've gotten burnt a lot of times trusting. They're good people, but not maybe the right caliber. Sometimes the right caliber, but not the right attitude. But something or the other kicks in, and it goes wrong.
Yeah, I've realized this, और ये thought अभी conversation में strike हुआ मुझे कि I don't मतलब people probably would not relate to a vision because it is cooked, but they would probably build some trust in the visionary who is telling that vision.
Yes, it's always the orator.
Yes.
And orator need not have to be true.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I'm sharing a story. My objective is to gain your attention. Get you on board. The story is a right story or a wrong story, is a lie or not a lie. That's only I know.
And
or time will tell. Yeah. So it's right. You might have to sometimes make a fool of someone to get that person on board because you know that person is important for the organization. But again, it's part of the game.
Right. But because you said that but the main point is once they are on board, you always strive to do right by them.
Yes. That's the personal objective that I have,
Yeah.
and that's I believe a lot of organizations, and I'm sure you guys would agree with it. No organization would want to lose a talent.
Yeah.
They always would want to keep the talent with themselves, probably take the talent to the highest ever level possible, probably bigger than themselves, if need be, if it can happen. But for that, the talent also need to give time and attention to the organization, the way the organization is giving time and attention to the resource. This combination is very rare. If you're able to find it, it's great. Fortunately, we are able to find it in our organization.
Last year, 2 of my very good people went on to some other companies, so it was painful a little bit. But then when we discussed, we came to this understanding that the companies that they went to, one person went to a very big agency in India that has a huge name. The other one went to a big time Web3 company. So हमने उसमें फिर खुद को थोड़ा अच्छा फील करा लिया कि चलो अच्छी जगह पे गए हैं.
That's how I always tell people. I think there was a new batch which joined a few days ago in my organization. So I love to get freshers on board because they comes with no qualms. So they're fresher. It's their first job. I was just sitting with them and I told them that any point of time you want to leave the organization, you don't find it the right organization for you, it's absolutely fine. But please come to me and tell me which organization you're going to so that I can suggest that that is the right move or not.
Right.
So I would love, I get ecstatic when I see someone from my organization has joined a much better organization than ours.
That's true.
I relate to that.
Yeah, it speaks a lot about the kind of nurturing that is going on within the company also.
Yeah.
But having said that, I would also like to understand that for the people who would want to, let's say, apply to Mindforce. So, what is the process for applying to Mindforce right now? Because I knew it back then. I don't know what's now.
There are openings available on the website.
Okay.
And there are platforms where you can go and apply. If you have interest in joining the organization, you can send your resume to career on the website, and from there we get them on board. My personal thought, again, not many people in my company agrees to my thought. If a prospect resource is able to meet bare minimum requirement of mine, I try and get that resource on board. Because again, as I mentioned, it's a gamble. We'll see after 3 years whether this organization is for you and you are for the organization or not. Right now, in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes discussion, I have no one to judge anyone.
Right.
So if you're able to meet the bare minimum requirement, let's come on board and let's see where we go together.
But your team disagrees with that. They want.
Some of them. I'm getting one person on board after fighting with my India head. This thought is same. The person is not meeting the India head's expectation, and I'm saying, okay, let's give it a chance. Let's see after 3 months where that person is.
Oh, one quick question though. You hired me without an interview when I joined. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but have you?
I do it often.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. How often do you do it?
I do it often.
Yeah. Where do you find those people?
If I go to a store and I like the representative there,
oh, that's great.
I offer them job.
That's great. That's a great approach.
Provided they have the interest.
Yeah.
Again, gamble. So it's I find this process of interviewing a little. First of all, I don't call it interview when I'm speaking with anyone. I always mention that it's a discussion. I'm trying to sell my organization to you. You're trying to sell your candidature to me. Let's see if we both can reach a middle ground and find it okay for both of us and assess it after a few months. That's what we are trying to do. So if I find a candidate anywhere, I try and get that candidate on board and see after 3 months if like after 3 months you thought that it's not the nice organization to be with, but it's absolutely fine. You have the right to take your own calls, like the organization can take their own call, but that should happen after 3 months or 6 months time, where at least give that time to each other.
Right, true. What's the starting salary these days?
I don't have any clue.
Okay. But any range?
I think 15,
when I started, it
how
was
much was that?
15, 20.
15, 18. I think that's
Okay,
15,
it's still the
18.
same.
Yeah, 15, 18.
Got it. But what's the vision? Like, we were on the subject of vision, right? And we were talking about how it's cooked up. So what's the vision that you have cooked up for Mindforce right now?
My vision for the organization right now is the targets that I've set up for the organization.
How ambitious are those targets right now?
Not that ambitious. Those are achievable. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I want to become only assistant manager. Here I don't want to become a $1 billion organization ever. And like what you mentioned in one of your previous podcasts, I don't want to work forever. So I think I'm reaching that point. Partially, I've already reached that point. I'm really involved in office. But I'm reaching that point where my time to say goodbye would come. Organization probably would continue with the great people that we have on board. But that's it.
That's great. Yeah, even I want that for me personally, that for the next 5-10 years, I work my ass off. I give it my everything, give it my like one big last shot, and then I retire early and then live my life, spend my days of living
Absolutely.
my life.
I mean, why do you live?
Exactly. I don't want to die at 60. That sounds so difficult. Like मुझे पता नहीं मैं तब तक जिंदा रहूंगा, मैं तब तक काम करने का कैसे प्लान करूंगा, अगर जिंदा रहने का प्लान नहीं कर सकता तो it just.
And you know, me and one of my friends during our BPO days, we always used to talk about it. क्या 40 से ज़्यादा एक दिन काम नहीं करना. जिस दिन 40 टच हो गए ना, कोशिश करने या तो either we retire before 40 or 40 is the time when we'll pack up our bags and say okay, we had enough of it. जो जितना है उतना काफ़ी है and just walk out.
कैटरीना कैफ फ्रॉम जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा वो डिसएग्री की
What?
40 तक काम कर
अच्छा.
यार मुझे तो
कैटरीना कैफ कौन सा मेरी लाइफ में है?
नॉट सेइंग फॉर यू बट कोई कहेगा कि डिसएग्री करा दो.
she can disagree at home. But that's true यार. मतलब कुछ I don't think जैसे वो अभिषेक उपमन्यु मतलब बहुत सही तरीके से बोलता है कि जोया अख्तर आके ऐसे से बोलती है कि मतलब हाँ मतलब लोगों में पैसा तो है, वो खर्च करने नहीं आता है. अगर स्ट्रेस में जाके स्पेन घूमो, ये करो वो करो, हमें नहीं पता क्या.
नहीं पता. एक पैसे में ना एक चीज मेरे ब्रदर ने told me long time ago and I accept it and I relate to it and I've kind of made it a goal of mine and I communicate it to as many people as possible because I want people to think in that direction. To live a super luxurious life, considering your loans have been taken care of, you don't need more than 1 lakh rupees a month.
Exactly.
So why work for 2 lakh? Because you work for 2 lakh, that extra money will never be of any use. That extra money will always cause problem.
Yeah. It'll just raise your standards and you will just be indulging.
No, it'll not raise your standards. What standards? I'm saying lakh of rupees. You want to buy a Beamer or you want to buy a Ferrari. Okay, work in that direction. But once you have bought a Ferrari and a Beamer, you still would need 1 lakh rupees a month only.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nothing more than that.
एक पॉइंट के बाद द थिंग्स दैट मनी विल बाय, उसका बस ब्रांड चेंज होता रहेगा और वो
नहीं करोगे बाय यार. At least I can say for the people in this room that even if you drink, you can drink the best of alcohol, but you will not drink it every day. You're not goddamn drunkard. You like wearing good clothes, you'll buy them once. You will not just wear them and throw them and buy a new one next time. तो वो सब कुछ 1 लाख में हो जाता है.
ना कितनी कपड़े खरीद लोगे?
मेरे को तो पसंद भी नहीं कपड़े खरीदना.
वही है, that's your likeliness. नहीं है, probably watch होगा, एक बार ही खरीदोगे ना यार. कितना कर लोगे? I'm saying at the end of the day you don't need more than ₹1,00,000 and keep yourself happy. Yeah.
Any interesting story that you have from your professional life? You've had a very interesting life in general.
Oh, I've got numerous interesting
Interesting
stories.
and funny.
Interesting, embarrassing. I've had amazing fun. I think the problem is that I've lived my life very early. So I've done most of the fun stuff in my life very early because there was a pressure of me earning my money and then doing the fun stuff. So I did that very early in my life. By now, I've got nothing new to do. Nothing fun is left for me to do now. So that has become a little challenge.
तो चलो करके आते हैं. So I have 3 goals that I've set up for myself, जो कि materialistically. So one is the easiest one, which is scuba dive का course करना है, so that I can scuba dive.
Waterphobic वो नहीं करूँगा मैं कभी.
ठीक है. Second is बचपन से वो skydiving वाली मैं
checked.
हाँ, तो उसका मेरे को कोर्स करना है, so that I can skydive in different places अकेले, not a tandem jump.
नहीं tandem करा.
And third is कि मेरे को पायलट बनना है, पर वो इतने पढ़ाई तो करूँगा नहीं ना, वो करूँगा. So I'll get a
मैं सिर्फ एक में कंपनी दे सकता हूँ, बाकी मैं नहीं दे पाऊंगा. आई साइड में मेरे लिए बहुत प्रॉब्लम बचपन से इकट्ठा करके.
अरे गो कार्टिंग करने चलते हैं उसमें ठीक है. वैसे भी गाड़ी उड़ाने का शौक है.
नहीं उड़ा दिया, अब नहीं उड़ाता. वो कर लिया. मेरे पास ना जेन होती थी एक वाइट कलर की, तो मैंने उसको इतना ठोक दिया था कि वो ना टेढ़ी चल रही थी. और किसी भी स्पीड ब्रेकर पे अगर वो गई ना तो उसका एक्सल टेढ़ा था. तो स्पीड ब्रेकर पे जरा सा भी उसने जंप लिया, उसका एक्सल टूट जाता था. तो मेरे साथ फ्रेंड वगैरह कुछ होता था, मैं जंप ली, ओह एक्सल टूट गया, अब क्या करें यार, बारिश हो रही है, कुछ नहीं हो रही है, अच्छा गाड़ी बंद करो, नहीं सो जाओ, सुबह देखेंगे. बहुत ड्रामे की.
आपका शौक क्या है? Like, what are you passionate about? Like, in terms of
music.
Music. I remember you told us that पहले Mindforce का वो था
tagline different.
Research associated. है ना?
So I've been an Eminem fan all my life. तो हम tagline जब सोच रहे थे तो I was with one of my friends. तो ऐसे ही I was listening to a song. तो करते उसमें some line came. फिर मेरे दिमाग में अच्छा, let's keep research resuscitated as the tagline of the company. Controversial थी बहुत, but controversy is always good for your company. तो वो रखी थी. But I'm a huge Eminem fan.
So one last question from me. Let's say if you had to hire a person or an intern, like a full-time employee or an intern from an institution like IIT, so would you do that?
I wouldn't mind.
But the catch is that I don't think that they would come at the same salary as it. So would you be willing to offer a differential salary?
No.
So the tag of IIT doesn't matter
to me. I've interviewed people from ISB and all, and I've rejected them.
But if they could and do a good job, they can expect a good promotion.
Absolutely.
If they prove their worth.
I make sure that I make careers of people once they have produced results. Not just because you have a tag. And I was with one of my friends outside of India, and we were just talking about our history, and we've been very close for very long. So I come from a government school, he comes from a Kendriya Vidyalaya. He interviews and rejects people from Harvard and Oxford now. I said, okay, I've not reached Harvard and Oxford, but I do interview people from ISB and all.
हाँ? वो क्या करते हैं आपके फ्रेंड?
Sorry, cannot tell.
अच्छा, okay.
इसके बाद?
हाँ नहीं, of course, on record नहीं. हाँ. But that's great, yeah. I feel कि this is something that I personally feel कि I've worked with a lot of engineering interns from PEC and some from IIT. I feel they do add some value, good value, and I really feel कि जो मैंने insights gain करी थी working with Mindforce, like getting ahead of time, understanding the market shift before it even happened. So I was, this is how I mapped my journey to startups also, because I already was aware of these buzzwords. And so I was not coming as a empty whiteboard. So I had some knowledge. I knew कि IT managers होते हैं. I knew वो क्या किस type की Fortune 500 में technology use हो रही है. And that just helped me get my foot in the door.
Yeah, I'm in search of talent. I'm not necessarily in search of talent from IIT or IIM.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if they could find the same insights that I was fortunate enough to find, that would be good for them. मतलब आपके लिए तो आपका तो काम चल ही रहा है. I'm talking about their perspective, that it would really benefit them per se, and obviously it benefits the organization on their journey. But yeah, do you have any more questions?
This was a delightful conversation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much
I'd
for
love to
coming.
meet you guys again.
100%, yeah.
Not in this atmosphere, probably in some
But
other
also in
atmosphere.
this
Yeah.
I'd like to get you on board for another episode sometime down the line, inshallah. And probably I hope to have our own studio so that I can invite you there. And
Once I'll pack up my bags, then I'll definitely ask you to interview me. Then I'll open up and I'll name people
100%. फिर तो
easily.
फिर तो पूरा controversial episode करेंगे. सिर्फ गालियाँ बकेंगे उसमें कुछ नहीं करना. नाम लेके क्यों बोलेंगे?
पता है ये मेरा बचपन से मन है, पता है. I want to launch a news channel where you can use abusive language. कोई parliamentary language वगैरह नहीं. मारना नहीं है. You cannot be physical, but
सही. Must debate होगी. But I'm just imagining Arnab Goswami abusing. पूरी पलका.
बता रहा हूँ, interesting idea है.
बहुत बढ़िया होगा. I think it would be much more viral than the Republic. Controversial भी होगा. But thank you so much for coming. It was a great experience speaking with you, and we loved to hear your stories and such real insights from not just your industry but also other industries and various departments. And yeah, it was a great experience.
Lovely meeting you always, and great to meet you, Keshav.
Likely.
And thank you,
Likewise.
Mukesh.
क्लोजिंग और ओपनिंग हमेशा इतनी ट्रिकी हो जाती है.